welcome back. My name is Anna, aka Brookwillow, and today we're going to do something a little different. So if you watched my last episode, you would know that I recently purchased a home in Wisconsin, and I have a new desire to knit some home goods. And I thought it'd be kind of fun to do like a top 20 curated list of home good patterns that I found on Ravelry. So that's what we're going to do today. This isn't like an all free pattern or all one thing. There's going to be a mix of free patterns and paid for patterns. I also didn't organize it in any special way, so I didn't like rank my top favorite down to number one. I just kind of scattered it all about because it's really hard to choose because I found a lot of cool things. I'm going to link everything below, and I'm going to try my hardest to find alternate links to the Ravelry ones as well in case you don't use Ravelry. If I can't find them, I apologize, but yeah, let's just jump right into it. I have my computer right here, so I'm just going to use it as my tool to kind of stay organized and look at everything. I also didn't really do a ton of research beforehand, and I don't like memorize everything, so I apologize if I'm reading off my computer a bit, but we'll get through it. So the first pattern that I have, number 20, is a free pattern from Purl Soho, and this is the library blanket. And to be honest, I think this is going to be the next thing that I make. I was up at a really cool shop in Grand Marais, Minnesota called Upstate, and they had blankets similar to this, and I'm like, oh, I must have one. I need to make it. And I intentionally sought out a blanket like this to make. And that's partially what kind of inspired doing this top 20, because as I was looking for this, I found so many other cool things too. But anyways, here is what it looks like. And yeah, like I said, it's a free pattern. The suggested yarn is Purl Soho's line weight held with Purl Soho's linen quill throughout the whole pattern. So no wonder it's free, because this yarn would be extremely expensive, especially for an entire blanket's worth. I'm sure there's a lot of good alternatives to the yarn, but I don't know, there's something about the yarn used in this that just looks really good. So maybe I'll splurge and buy it. So yeah, this one looks like it has a pretty cool construction. I imagine you're just knitting little strips and then picking up along the way to change the direction of the knit. It appears that it's all in garter, so it looks like it'd be a pretty mindless knit when you're just focused on each strip, which is, I think, really good for a blanket, since a blanket is a really big commitment. It would really suck if it was like way too hard and you had to focus on it the entire time. But yeah, I think this is going to be the next project that I cast on for a home goods point of view. So next up on my list at number 19 is a pattern from Ventzel. So we all know that Anne makes a lot of patterns that are sweaters or tops. I was pretty surprised to see that she made something that was a home goods too. So this one is a pillow pattern. It kind of gave me the vibe of the library blanket with all of the different stripings and different colors and stuff. So I feel like these two pieces would really like jive together well if you were going to be using them in the same room. This one is a paid pattern. Of course it won't translate to dollars, but it's 45 kroner. Is that what KR is? I don't know. I imagine it's going to be around $5 for the pattern, which, to be honest, like this one probably is pretty easy to figure out on its own. What type of stitch is used though? However, it does look like it's using a linen stitch or something similar. The only reason I'm so familiar with a linen stitch is because I have a pattern that I'm working on, which will be in this list, that is using a linen stitch. So I think in this scenario I would pay for the pattern personally, because this striping is super unique on here. I'm not sure if I would be able to figure it out, because if it really is a linen stitch, then that could potentially be an 8 pattern repeat, which I already struggle with memorizing on its own. The suggested yarn is Filcolana Peruvian Highland Wool. That is a yarn that I personally never have used, but I always see people talking about it, and it looks like quality yarn. So I'll probably be adding this onto my queue as well. And actually, to be honest, pretty much everything I see here I want to add to my queue. But yeah, so this is an Aran weight yarn. It would be super easy to find something similar. I think personally I would want to stick with the wool because it's a little bit more sturdy and it would likely pill yet less. And especially for like something like a pillow, unless you make it to be a slip cover that you can zip off and like hand wash or whatever, it'd be pretty hard to keep it from getting dirty or pilling. I guess you can get one of those cool pill machines, which I kind of want to get one. All right, so, I forgot to say, this is Kuno's Cushions by Ventzel. Next up is something a little unexpected and a little unique. And these are a free pattern by Janelle Wood. They are knit felted wool dryer balls. These are purely, what's the word? Purely utilitarian? Like, this is something that you need, not so much like a decorative item. And I think these are super cool. I grew up not ever using dryer sheets because my dad was allergic to them, so we used wool dryer balls all the time. And the thing that's really cool about wool dryer balls, so if you're not familiar, which you probably are, they go in the dryer, obviously, and it kind of acts like a dryer sheet. So it takes away some of the static and it kind of just bounces around in there, keeps everything fluffy. But one thing that I like to do is add a little bit of essential oil drops to the dryer wool. And that kind of gives it a nice clean scent similar to what dryer sheets would. And I feel like with the essential oils, they're a little less like artificial because they come from real plants. So yeah, this looks like you just felt it. I think you like ball it up into actual yarn and then felt around the ball. So this may be a good project to kind of use up any yarn that you just really do not have any use for, or you don't like the color or whatever, but really cool option, and it's fun that it's free. Next up, oh yeah, this one I thought was so cute. So this is a paid for pattern by Donna Smith. It's the Baa-ble mug cozy. Now, I never really got into the cozies that people would use for mugs that were like crocheted and they had the buttons on it, and I feel like you could get them at like any little craft show or whatever. Nothing against that, but it just wasn't my vibe. This one, however, is so stinking cute that I could not resist adding it to the list. I think the color work on it is just amazing, and this is definitely something that I would make to help keep my coffee warmer for a little longer, and nice to hold as well. They used Jamieson & Smith 2-ply jumper weight yarn, which is just fingering, so super easy to find alternatives to that as well. But I imagine that Jamieson & Smith would be a really good option for this because the coloring in this is pretty specific. And I hear that Jamieson & Smith is excellent for color work, so I'd probably stick with the actual suggested yarn for this one. All right, moving right along is a knitter's take on a quilt, which I think is really unique and fun. This one is a paid-for pattern. It just came out in January of this year by MarinJaKnits, and it is called the Quinn's Quilt. I think it's super cool. I love this geometric style star quilt type pattern. I think there's a lot of fun opportunities to incorporate all sorts of different colors that may match whatever room the quilt is going in, which is really cool. She used Jimmy Bean's wool Reno Rafter 7. I'm unfamiliar with that particular yarn, but I imagine it's wool. It's a DK weight, and yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say about that, other than I think it's really cool, especially if you're not much of a sewist or anything like that. This is a very good solution to have like a quilt type blanket. Okay, so next up, I love this one so much. I didn't totally realize Knit Picks has a lot of patterns, which is ridiculous because obviously a yarn company is going to have a lot of patterns to go with it. But this one is designed by Sherrie Kibler, and it's called the Cotton Plaid Throw. I thought this one was very cool because it seems like gingham is all the rage right now, but also gingham is a very classic pattern too. And I really like their take on the proportion of the gingham. Like, I like that it's very large squares for a large blanket compared to really tiny squares, which probably makes it a lot easier to knit up as well. Another thing to note here is that it's 2 DK weight yarns held together to create a bulky weight yarn. So I imagine this is a very fast blanket to knit up, which would make it be great for a gift for somebody too. And I think the tassels at the end just add a really nice touch to it as well. I'll definitely probably be making this one. So I did notice when I curated everything together that it all kind of gave some like super 70s vibes. And this one definitely is no exception. This is the Daisy Potholder by Sybil R. It is a paid-for pattern, €5. Not sure what that equals out to USD. But I just thought it was super cute. I like all the different colors they used. They do have a note here in bold letters saying this is not a beginner pattern, so beware. It looks easy, but I guess it's not so easy. They did not list type of yarn used in here, only that it was DK weight. I think if I were to do it, I would probably do it in like a cotton or something that'd be very easy to wash, because since it will be in the kitchen and there's food being set on top of it, it likely will get a little dirty or grimy, and it'd be nice to be able to just like throw it in the washer. But yeah, super fun and retro. Next up, I thought this one was pretty cool and simple and also a little bit utilitarian. This is the Sigyn's Bowl by Kristen TenDyke. It's a $4.99 pattern. However, this one probably could be easy to figure out how to make as well. It looks like you just kind of knit in a circle, 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 and then felt it at the end. But I thought this was cool for like a little catch-all dish. As you can see in the pictures here, it's holding some stitch markers and needles, but catch-all dishes are really great. They're an easy way to organize different shelves or bookshelves or whatever. I always like to have little compartments around for like all sorts of things, so that's why I added this one to the list. All right, another blanket from Purl Soho, but I couldn't resist. I don't know if it's the colors they used in this one or the yarn that was used, but this is the Muhuroosa blanket by Purl Soho, which is a free pattern. They use Purl Soho Posy, which I'm not... Okay, so it's 75% merino, 15% cashmere, 10% nylon. To me, this blanket looks almost like it's made out of a linen material, but I guess that's not true. It's also a fingering weight yarn, so again, probably easy to substitute if you can't afford Purl Soho yarn like myself. But I'm curious about what kind of stitch pattern this is. It like almost looks like a moss stitch or a seed stitch. And then there's all the different gradients of stripings throughout. So very beautiful. I'm sure there's a lot of beautiful colorways that could be made with this particular blanket, but I just love it. All right, so the next one is also a blanket. Again, sorry, I didn't really order these well, but this one I thought was just so cool, also very retro, and I just love the colors that were used. It is blanket 10141 by Sirdar, and it's a $5 pattern. I just love the colors that are used in this. I'm not like a huge chevron person. I never really got onto that trend, but I feel like this isn't really chevron, it's more herringbone, which there is a difference. And just the gradient throughout I just think is absolutely beautiful, especially if you're using like a color changing yarn. This one would be super fun to knit up and see the yarn change throughout as you're making the blanket. The yarn that is used was Sirdar Jewel Spun, which is an Aran weight. I don't really know what else to say about the yarn. I'm guessing it's like a color changing yarn. They only use 3 balls of yarn in this, so it could potentially be an affordable blanket to make as long as the yarn isn't too expensive. Yeah, but this one's really cool too. I'd probably make this one after the library blanket, or maybe before. I don't know. I'm just really drawn to this one. Moving along are some more hot pads. I think these also could potentially be coasters too, but these are the Folksy hot pads by Shelli Can, and this is a free pattern. I just really loved the little quilt style blocks of it, and right in the title it's very folksy, but I just think it's really cute. You could do a lot of fun colors. This definitely would be like a good stash busting project to get rid of all those leftovers, but yeah, I thought it was cute. They use Cascade Yarns EcoView Fiber Mill Nubby Silk, which is a worsted weight, so again, this would be a super quick knit, great for gifts or whatever, but yeah, I love this one. All right, we're speeding along here. So this is a rug, which I never really totally thought about knitting a rug, but maybe if it was something small or like a little accent rug, something that wouldn't have like heavy traffic on it, I'd feel pretty comfortable with making. I really loved the texture on this one and all of the fringe going around it. It almost looked like a woven rug to me, but it says it's knitted. And I don't know, there might be some, like a lot of baubles in it. So if you like making baubles, this would be a good one. If you don't, maybe this wouldn't be a great one. But this one is also from Knit Picks for $4.99 USD. And they use Knit Picks Dishy Solids. Okay, I'm having technical issues with my memory card and my camera, and it's the only memory card I have, so I had to switch to my phone. So if the quality is different and the sound is different, I apologize, but that is why. But maybe it's for the better. As I was saying, they used Knit Picks Dishy Solids in this rug, which leads me to believe it's a yarn that is used for like dish scrubs, so maybe it is a more durable yarn, which gives me more confidence to knit it up. But I do think I kind of want to make this for my bathroom upstairs. I currently have a white rug and it's just getting a little bit dingy over the years and harder to bleach out and all of that. So it'd be kind of nice to have like a dark rug that just doesn't show as much on it. And I just really love the texture of this and the fringe all around it. So again, I will be making this as well. Next up on my list really just caught my eye, I think obviously just because it's a huge starburst, but it is another potholder by Sybil R. It's called the Stella potholder. This is a paid pattern, $5 euro. She did not list the type of yarn that was used, but if it were me, I would just use, again, another cotton like yarn, which actually looks like maybe what was used in this. But I just love the cartoony look of this potholder. Like it looks like it was like an explosion in like Bugs Bunny or something, but it just gives me very festive vibes. You can make them kind of look like leaves, or you could have it during like New Year's. I don't know, just another good stash busting project and another gift as well. Next up, so when I saved this one, I definitely thought it was a rug, which is why I saved it, but it is technically listed as a blanket or throw. That's not to say you can't make it like rug material, but it does use super bulky Bernat Blanket Ogo yarn, so I guess it's blanket yarn. But this is called the Pretty Puzzle Points from Yarnspirations Design Studio. It's a free pattern. This one reminds me of a blanket that I crocheted for my friend's baby about 5 years ago. I like the different like triangles and arrows, not arrows, but I don't know, it gives me like Southwest vibes, and I do really like the colors that they used in this. This one probably would be a quick knit as well, which I mean, if I'm going to be knitting all 20 of these projects, some of them need to be quick knits. Next up, okay, so this is the first and only official coaster on my list, and I thought it was so cool. It is from the Berroco design team, and it's called Coaster. And it is a free pattern. But the reason why I love this so much is because, especially with the yarn they used, it reminds me of like an agate or a geode or something. And I just thought that was really cool, and I feel like it's a really fun way to add a pop of color to your home. And I thought it'd be kind of a good intro to felting project. I personally have never felted anything before, or at least not intentionally. And since these are nice and small, I thought like this would be a good way to dip my toes into that. And again, this would make a great stash busting project, but I personally don't really have a ton of color changing yarn like this, so I would probably end up buying the suggested yarn, which is Berroco Jasper and Berroco Mercado, which I'm guessing are just some color changing yarns. Okay, so we're down to the last 5 items. So this next one is another potholder. It's the Magic Square Potholder by Maria Ekblad. She used a lot of different types of yarns in these examples here, but it looks like most of them were cotton. Again, probably so it's a little more machine washable. But yeah, I really liked all the different patterns she used in here, as well as some of the color combos. Again, I think it'd just be cute ways to add color to the home or the kitchen. And these do come with little loops so you can hang them up somewhere too, which is pretty cute. This pattern is $3, which I think is worth it. I mean, I'm sure I could figure out how to make this, but it's like knitted on double sides in a way that the squares all meet up to each other. Kind of is like more thinking than I want to do. Excuse me. So there's a lot of different techniques used on here that she listed. So there's Judy's Magic Cast On, Magic Loop, Kitchener Stitch, I-cord, stranded knitting with 2 colors. So this would be a good project to learn some new techniques if you haven't used any of these before. Next up, this one is just so stinking cute. I'm so excited. It is another pattern from Knit Picks for $4.99, and this was designed by Anna Davis, and it's the Fair Isle Lavender Sachets. I thought this was such a cute idea and very applicable to all knitters. I never really dealt with moths before, but in my new home there definitely is presence of moths around, so I immediately bought a bunch of cedar discs and lavender sachets to protect all of my yarn, and so far it's been working out pretty well. But I thought this was like a beautiful way to also store lavender sachets, and all of the different patterns are super cute, especially when they're all placed together. Again, this could be a great stash busting project, but they used Knit Picks palette in this particular pattern. I think it'd be cute too, especially like maybe you knit somebody a wool garment, and this would be a nice little add-on gift to send with them to kind of like protect that garment from moths, because a lot of people may not be aware that moths can be an issue for it. So this could be another cute gift, or something to kind of just store in your own closet with your sweaters. Maybe not your yarn because you won't see it as much, but I just feel like it adds cute little pops of colors to the closet. Next up, I am obsessed with this one. It kind of gives me Kaffe Fassett vibes. This is the number 7 directional pillow cover by Irina Poludnenko. Yeah, so a pillow cover, I wonder if it includes a way to take it off so you can hand wash it, which is really cool. But yeah, this is a pattern available for $5. I think that's totally worth it. It's absolutely beautiful. It gives me some quilt vibes as well, just the way that it's all pieced together to make the different blocks, but I'm absolutely obsessed with the colors that are used in this pillow. They used Norrell Silk Garden Light, which is a DK yarn. I love Norrell yarn. I think it's super cool yarn, but I just love the geometry in this mixed with the color changing yarn. I think it softens it up quite a bit. I think it would look really cool with the library blanket that I listed at the beginning. mixed with the ones by Ventzel too. I think it'd be fun to kind of layer all of those together on like a neutral couch or something. But this will probably be the first pillow that I make out of this list. Next up is another pillow by Arne and Carlos. They had a ton of pillows to choose from. There's a lot that I wanted to add to this list, but I did have to narrow it down just so it's not all pillows. But this one is called Greta. I love the classic Swedish style of it with the colors that they use too. I think it's really sweet and nice. They use Rowan's Soft Yak DK, which makes sense because I feel like they work for Rowan all the time. It's a DK weight. This pattern is $7. I would definitely pay for that. Trying to think of how they kind of pieced it together, if it was embroidered after, or no, it looks like it was color work in the yarn. It looks like maybe more of an advanced knit, which would be kind of fun too, especially because it's not like a huge piece. It's just like a little sampling of it, so you're not knitting like a whole sweater or anything. But I feel like it just adds a little bit of daintiness to the pillows as well. So the final item on the list here is something you have seen if you watched my last episode, and it is the color-filled hand towels by Purl Soho. These are so stinking cute. You can really like put together a lot of cool color options with it, but I love the durability of them, especially because they're made out of cotton and it's a linen stitch, so it's a really tight stitch. But with that said, it looks like you'd be able to knit this up pretty quick, but actually it takes a long time with the linen stitch. It really condenses the stitches down really tight. I know that Inga from Knitting Traditions is also making these right now, and her and I were both talking about how long it takes to make them, especially because it's an 8-pattern repeat or an 8-row repeat, which I personally am having a hard time memorizing, but Inga did give me some good tips on how to memorize the little row repeat. But anyways, this is again another free pattern. They used Purl Soho's Cotton Pure, but I am using the Pima cotton from Lion Brand, which is a much more affordable option, and the result is absolutely beautiful. And I have mine here in this bag. I'll give you an update of how far I have come along with it. So here is where I'm at. Not super far from when we last talked, but again, like I said, it takes a very long time. Similar to how like a fisherman's rib takes a long time. It just condenses it right down. But I am really enjoying this whole process. The yarn is so soft and feels great on my hands. And I think the backside looks really nice too, with the pearl bumps. So it could almost be like a reversible towel if you want it on the inside as well. I have made a couple little mistakes in here, but it was when I was with my friends out of town for 4th of July weekend. I was just socializing, so I made a few mistakes like right here, but I kind of realized, I'm like, oh, well, every time I look at that mistake, I'll always remember the weekend I had with my friends there. So it's kind of like a cute little memory mistake. But I'm really excited about this. I did buy 2 other colors to potentially make more hand towels. This one, like I mentioned before, I'm just gonna keep in my bathroom just so it doesn't get as dirty as like a kitchen towel would. But yeah, very happy with the result. So that is the end of my curated list of top 20 household items. I definitely could have kept going. I think I only got through like half of the home good patterns that were available on Ravelry. There are like thousands out there, but let me know down below if you've made any of these before and what your thoughts are, or if you plan to make any of them. I think it's super fun. If you liked this style of video too, please give it a thumbs up. That really helps me out. And if you have any other ideas for other like bonus type videos that you would like to see, feel free to suggest down below. I'm always open to different ideas outside of just like a traditional vlog type video. But thanks again for joining me. If you're new here, welcome. Feel free to hit subscribe below so you don't miss out on any future videos that I put out. Otherwise, I hope you have a good rest of your weekend, and we'll chat next time.